Hi there, I'm Charley Mann, the Chief Marketing Officer with Great Legal Marketing and Ben Glass Law. And what I have for you on this video are 3 tips to improve your law firm newsletter. So, tip number 1 in your law firm newsletter is following the 60-40 rule. This is a basic rule talked a lot about by Ben Glass and people like Dan Kennedy. And what we're trying to say with this rule is 60% of your newsletter should be personality driven and human interest driven, and 40% should reflect legal content. You see, you don't want to send out a newsletter that is just all legal content. Most people are going to throw that away as soon as they get it or as soon as they delve into the first article. And you'll also find that you tend to end up getting in some kind of trap where you tend to use too much jargon if you're writing about legal content all the time. Now, rather than doing 100% personality, you also want to remind people the practice areas that you're involved in, the cases that you're working on, and how smart you are about the law and how helpful your law firm can be, which is why we only have 60% personality rather than 100%. Now, within that personality, you may want to talk about your family, success stories, human interest pieces in your community, such as interviewing leaders in nonprofits, charities, and other groups like that. Become a community leader through your newsletter. Item number 2 is never forget the opportunity to have a call to action. A lot of times newsletters are just a bunch of content, but what you need to remember is if you are mailing a monthly newsletter, this is your opportunity to constantly churn the waters for new potential cases and referrals, which is why you should always have some kind of call to action. Oftentimes in our own newsletter, we'll offer one of our free books or free reports or some free book that we've gotten in and people can email us to try and get that may not have to do with the law, but build some of the personality side. Additionally, you may want to say, if you know anyone who is in need of this particular type of legal service, you can have them call us at such and such a number. Don't forget to give that call to action. That's how you make the newsletter an effective piece of lead generation marketing. And finally, it is important that you mail a print newsletter. There is no replacing the power of print. And if anyone tries to tell you that an email newsletter can be just as effective as a print newsletter, they are dead wrong, no questions asked. We know for a fact that print newsletters are more effective than electronic newsletters. Now, an electronic newsletter sent in an email can be a useful supplement piece to, say, a monthly newsletter, and you can send out a weekly email. But you will never replace the efficiency and the efficacy of a printed, mailed newsletter. A lot of times people who do e-newsletters will brag about we have a 15% or 20% open rate. Congratulations. Everyone who sends emails out there is capable of getting that open rate. I can tell you that the open rate for a print newsletter is significantly better than that, especially if you're following the 60-40 principle and you build a loyal following that looks forward to reading your newsletter every single month. And going back to the 60-40 real quick, one of the coolest things that you can do when you're mailing a print newsletter is get people excited over your monthly columns. We run a recipe every single month, and we get people who frequently contact us saying, hey, do you remember that recipe? You ran pumpkin scones back then, and you also had an article about car accident cases. It becomes a reference point in those sorts of things. And think about all the emails that you get every single day. Do you really remember all that much about them? I'll bet you don't. But if you're regularly receiving a print newsletter, it sticks in the memory significantly longer, and you'll have an easy reference point down the road. So these are 3 ways to improve your law firm newsletter.